Hi, everyone. This is Roger Connect with Universal Accounting Center. I just want to take a quick minute and introduce Matt Roberge with SLC Bookkeeping, whom we're going to have on for today to discuss essentially what it is Matt's done as he's gone through this process of starting and building a very successful practice. So real quickly, Matt, one of the things I'd like you to do is kind of just start with your story and help everyone understand kind of your beginnings, how you got into the career, what you've been drawn to in the profession.
Sure. Yeah, I guess that, my trip in accounting started back in college, certainly by mistake, I guess. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all when I was in college, so I just went to a general business school. It was only business. That was all we could do. Accounting for me was one of those things where it was probably pretty frustrating for a lot of people around me because I didn't really open the books. I just kind of showed up. And it was one of those things where it was just very logical to me,
Okay.
Accounting just made sense, so I just kind of got 95s to 100s on everything. But I didn't like it. I truly didn't love the debits and credits and all that. It was just like, it was very simple. Fast forward to, I still kind of freaking out, and I'm majoring in finance. I thought I was just going to go to Wall Street or something like that. Was pretty much what I had in my head. Well, I was majoring in finance, and I'm like, I don't even like this. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm kind of freaking out as graduation's coming up. I'm in my senior year. And I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Well, it was in my senior year, I took 2 entrepreneurship classes, one in each semester. One was starting a business.
All right.
And the other one was how to acquire and then run a business. And so that's what like clicked for me, and I was like, yeah, that right there, that's what I want to do. But when you leave college, you don't just like go and apply to be an entrepreneur or start a business. You actually have to do it. So I just I had a job. I took a corporate job in Boston. I knew about a week in that I hated it, and that should have clued me on. I put off my start date as long as possible. I took the last possible one. I took the whole summer off. I went to the beach, and I finally start this job in Boston. And I'm like, this is awful. Like, I hate everything about the city. I hate my job. And about that time, I was very into skiing in college, and actually since I was pretty young. And my senior year, I had gone out to Utah. I'd gone to Alta to ski on spring break. And I loved it. I was like, this is great. So it was 2001 or 2002 at this point. I can't remember. But if we looked it up, around Thanksgiving that year, I'm about 2 months into my job at this point. Alta has no snow. And I found it very, crazy, as you know, from being in Utah. We typically have a lot of snow, or at least some snow by Thanksgiving. Well, they got that massive storm that year, about 120 inches in 4 days. And I decided right then, as I'm watching this storm, I'm like, I'm moving out there. As soon as my contract's up in accounting in my first year, I'm moving there. I didn't know what I was going to do aside from just ski as much as possible. That was like my plan, right? So I go home. They make this offer, and I'm like, no, I'm actually moving, and I'm taking this job. As a front desk person, I make $800 a month was my salary, but I was going to ski a ton. That's all I knew. So actually, who's my current quote unquote business partner was with me on that spring break trip. He blew his ACL, and so when I make this decision that I'm moving there, I call him all excited. I'm like, hey, I'm moving out. I made the decision today. It's not until next fall, but I'm doing it. He's like, oh, it's great. Good for you. And he's down in Hartford working. 2 weeks go by, he calls me. He's like, all right, I'm in. He's like, I don't know. Let's just go. Like, we both had very good jobs. And we both went home to explain to our parents, who had just forked up 6 figures to go to college, that skiing. And kind of the rest is history. Basically, I'm 3 months into my job there. The accountant at the hotel I'm working at quits. They know my background. They make me the offer, and I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, this is not a real job. I have to get a real job. I promised that to my dad. I was going to go for 1 season, get it out of my system, and I'll go get a job. I don't know doing what, but I just got to get this out of my system. Anyway, I ended up taking that job, and it was the best decision I made, because I truly learned everything that I know, or a lot, I put good foundation down for learning small business accounting. That was a pretty normal business, like $3 to $5 million business, kind of sweet spot for a lot of small businesses. And I just learned a ton about businesses and accounting and how to add value to an executive team by giving them good numbers and strategy around, how to move the business forward. I did that for 4 years. My current business partner took that job over from me. He did it for an additional 7 or 8 years. Okay. I take a job 2 doors down at a restaurant as the GM, where I'm also doing the bookkeeping. I was doing part-time bookkeeping for them. They offered me this GM job. I'm like, I have never, ever worked in a restaurant aside from washing dishes. I don't know a thing about it. I know nothing. And he's like, yeah, but you know numbers, you know business. And that's what I need. I need someone to run the business. And I was like, okay. So I did that for 5 or 6 years. And in the summer, it wasn't until, again, I don't really think things through typically when I make decisions, at least
I'm noticing.
The next one is the worst. The next one is just ridiculous. But so, I'm doing this job, and the first summer rolls around, they shut the restaurant down. I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's in a ski town, obviously. There is no business in the summer. I'm like, what do I do now? I have no income. So, I mean, they took a significant amount of time off where I couldn't afford to take that much time off. So I started this business. I started Salt Lake City Bookkeeping in the basement of that building, in Alta, below the restaurant. I started picking up a couple clients. I took my first client up in Park City only because there was a trout stream right there and I wanted to go fishing. I'm like, all right, I'm already driving up here to go fishing. I'm like, I might as well pick up some business here. That's how my job started and revolved around the outdoors. If you ask me why I'm in business today, it is seriously to spend as much time fishing and skiing as I possibly can. And I knew if I went down and applied to one of the big 4 firms and told them that, they would have laughed me out of the building. So they would get, and then if I told them that I wanted to live in Montana, which I currently reside, they'd say, absolutely not. You're going to come to the office like everyone else. So I said, all right, I'll do it myself. That's how I got here. So the reason that I actually decided to grow this business beyond just a lifestyle solopreneur business is I stupidly bought my first house in Montana while I was on a fishing trip. I randomly made this offer on this house and they accepted it. And I hadn't thought about anything about how am I going to work from up here? My business is down in Salt Lake. And so I get this house and literally freaked out. I drove home overnight because I was so freaked out by the whole thing that I was like, holy cow, I have a house, but it's 500 miles from my business. I have to go home and figure this out. So I had 6 months to build a actual business with employees and structure where I could actually take advantage of this house that I just purchased. So that is kind of my long-winded story of how I even got to a place where I have employees, I have a business, I have a good list of clients. And the short of it is, if you think about that, I didn't, and I'm a very cautious person. I typically overanalyze everything.
I think we're going to question that with you, but keep going.
Yeah, and then looking at that, I thought none of that through. I just literally selfishly was I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to, I'm going to do some jobs because there's a great trout stream there. I'm going to live in Montana because I love it, right? And I did it. And so I just kept following my personal passions, but aligning my business with that, right? And making sure that I always put the business first and worked my butt off to make that happen. I mean, I was working, when I was running that restaurant, that was a full-time job, and I was growing this business. I got up at 6 a.m. every day, and I went to bed at midnight every single day, for all of the winter, for 6 months. So I literally got up at 6, and I went to work, I went skiing, I went to work, I slept, I got up, and did it all over again. But I still skied 100 days a year, and I worked 2 full-time jobs.
So I'm going to jump in here because there's a few things that I'd love to share with you. One, the fact that I just really enjoy your spontaneity. the fact that you're able to be driven with purpose and maintain the lifestyle that was so important to you is huge. A lot of the people that are traditional accountants, if I can use that phrase, are obviously a lot more deliberate and cautious. And I know you used the word cautious a moment ago, but I think a lot of the accountants, the traditional CPAs, they're going to hear your story and they're just going to be blown away. And I really find that what you're sharing is quite refreshing, because there are people like you that are accountants today. There's a lot of these younger people that I think come into the profession for one reason or another, and they just find themselves in a situation where they can relate to your spontaneity, just the fact that you didn't let it consume you and you were able to stay the master of your own life and destiny. That's just phenomenal. I love this. The second thing I'd like to share is when you're talking about how you kind of stumbled in, and that's my word, stumbled into the profession. I think that's so true for many people. It's not that everyone graduates high school and mom and dad were CPAs and they just kind of evolve into it. There are so many people like you that just kind of through choices in life, through circumstance, find themselves through going to college, finding employment, moving into the accounting profession. And it just is this evolution. They learn to love it. They love the various aspects of it, whether it be the numbers, the specifics of it, the box that sometimes brings comfort in the fact that it's regulated the way it is. Whatever their justification, you're sharing with them that you can still remain true to your inner core and stay focused on what's important to you. And here you have a business. I think I need to point this out. Salt Lake City Bookkeeping, SLC Bookkeeping, is 500 miles away from where you live. That's phenomenal. That's something that so many people aspire to have. They're trying to build a business where they can stay where they're at and have clients everywhere. You're where you want to be, and your business is elsewhere, and your clients are elsewhere. This is phenomenal. So let's go to the next thing. Obviously, you shared with us your background, kind of the journey and experience. So what have you learned to love about the accounting profession? What is the thing you like most about it?
Honestly, I mean, if you think about it, like if you asked a general business person, like what's one of their big pain points, right? It's like almost everyone's like accounting. I just can't, like, I get it and I get the reports, right? But I hate everything about getting there. And I don't know how to do it. They're like, they fully admit that they don't, like, they kind of just got through accounting in college somehow, right? Because they knew it was important, that they, no matter what they wanted to do, if they're a business owner, that they had to know it, but they also knew that they hated it, right? And so just the ability to help those business owners with a huge pain point and try and make it a little simpler and a little more approachable for them is kind of really what I love about it, is just helping people. And it's not just the clients. I mean, that could be helping a client grow a business or make a difficult decision. But it's also, helping the employees as well, achieve either their financial goals, their personal goals, their career goals. I mean, I make it very clear when people come in, it's like, hey, I want you to do what makes you happy. So, like, what is it that you need? What career path do we need to put you on? And even if that is eventually, if you truly do want to own your own business at some point, let me know that, right? Like, let's give you a good job here, let's put you on a track, let's give you whatever we can teach you to help make that a reality. If I do, that's a success. I think so many people try and just like retain their employees forever, which is great. And believe me, I do as well, but I also don't want to hold them back from what they truly want to do. You know what I mean?
Yep. So that right there, I think, can be something that a lot of people can learn from. So I think that's some excellent advice. But share with me now kind of your business. What year was it that you started SLC Bookkeeping?
2007.
2007. So if you were to go back in your mind, back to then, you're just starting out, what advice would you give to someone who's also in the situation of just starting their practice?
Yeah. Man, God, there's so many. Honestly, I would think that the number one thing is that you need to be very, very picky. And that is with clients, that's with customers, vendors, software choices, employees, like across the board. Anyone and anything that's in it that you're working with in your business, whether you're buying something from them, they're buying from you, or you're paying them to do stuff for you, you need to be extremely picky. Meaning that not every customer that says they want to work with you, you should say yes to.
Good point.
You cannot work with everybody. And it's tough because you're like, hey, I'm just starting out. I have to take anything that comes across. And I get that. And you might be right to get going and just to survive. You might be right. But it becomes counterproductive at a point to where, like, I start sales calls now being like, I'm going to do everything I can to say no, right? Because the only people that get through are the people who I should really only. Mm-hmm. I truly do try and I go into the sales call trying to find a reason not to work with them. Right?
Okay.
But that's good. It's like, you check this box, that box, this box. Do I like you? Do you like me? Right? And then we get to work with really great people. And it's the same thing with, like, I don't want to pay a vendor that I don't enjoy working with or that just doesn't work with me. People get so caught up in, like, wanting to be such a great person, just work with everyone because they just want to be nice. And it's like, you're doing a disservice to you and you're doing a disservice to that person as well. So I think that's the big one. That's really one of the hardest things for people to swallow, and businesses that I consult with, are that you need to be much more selective in every aspect of your business, right? You can't work in every software. It's not scalable. You have to have the right processes, right? I mean, I would say that's number one, right? Number two is, for a business owner that's just starting out, sales is pretty much everything. And sales is everything.
So we have a phrase that we use all the time.
And it's very difficult. People have a hard time transitioning from a job to a business, and they get stuck. They create a job for themselves, right? And there's a big difference between a job and a business. And a business has to have sales, consistent sales, consistent, measurable, predictable sales, and a good, enough for them. But that's the difference between a business and a job. If you have to get very clear on that right from the get-go. Whether or not you like sales or not does not matter. If you decide you don't like sales, fine. Find someone that likes sales, hire them and mentor them to run sales for you. But somebody has to run sales. I prefer when you're a young business that it's you, the founder, right? Because it's just going to teach you a lot. It's going to teach you a lot about target customer, and it's going to make you a much better coach or mentor for when you do need to scale up and when you do need to bring a salesperson.
Good point. Very good.
And then the last thing is specialize. Like I said, industries, software, aspects of accounting, meaning go look at the general accounting firm or website. They do tax, they do audit, they do payroll, they do bookkeeping, they do exit planning, they do, you name it, right? They do tons of stuff. But that, to me, isn't as scalable. And like when you're like, hey, we just do this one or two things. We just do them really well. And that's it. That's all we do, right? And on top of that, let's take this as an example. We only do restaurant accounting and QuickBooks Online for restaurants of this size in this genre. Like, boom, you're going to get very good leads. You're going to get very good customers. You're going to have a super scalable system because you're only working those people, meaning restaurant comes in, he's $10 million that falls out of your scope. Say no, right? Get your disqualifying questions up front. Know your exact target customer. Only go after those. That is a specialty business that can scale, right? And I think that a lot of people, we were talking about this today with one of my employees, bringing something up, and I'm like, You know what I see happen a lot with businesses that where it doesn't go well is they think I'm going to contradict myself and talk about sales not always being the answer here, because people are like, oh man, I got to make more money. I'm going to start a new sales channel. Oh, I'm going to do this offering now. We're going to do that. And they end up doing like 10 or 15 different things and all these, and they don't do any one thing awesome. And if they just focused on that to start and nail it, now you can start talking about adding another sales channel. Like, hey, we're kicking butt in this, right? But I got this other idea, and I'm going to implement it with the same attitude as this. We're going to do it really well. And if it doesn't work, we're going to give it a shot. If it doesn't work and we're not great at it, we're going to abandon it. And I think people get so caught up on that more sales are the answer. Well, more sales of the wrong stuff can be detrimental to your business.
Those are three perfect examples of things that people need to emphasize as they're starting the business. That's wonderful advice. So now I want you to jump ahead. You've got your practice as it is today. You're working remotely. You've got a number of clients. You have employees. You have a process. What advice would you give to someone who has an established practice? They do have clients. They maybe even have the employees and systems. What's something that you would say to a peer today, if you could talk to yourself perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, what I think about every day when I get up, seriously, I think this is, not to my own horn, but I think this is good advice for anybody in any business is get up and say, am I relevant? How am I going to remain relevant today? Meaning, are you challenging yourself as the industry, like we all know industries are changing. The market's constantly in flux. Everything's changing about the business, especially accounting right now. So are you aware of that, and are you scared of it, or are you actually like staying aware and just making sure you're staying relevant every single day, right? I think that's one thing. And that leads into never stop improving. Always be questioning the process. Always be questioning, the process, the tools you're using, the sales channels you're in, everything about it, right? You need to be constantly trying to improve and not saying, no, we're the best at this. This is the way my dad did it, or he passed down to me. It's the way we're doing it, right? And it's like, ooh, that's dangerous, right? You're not really. That's a good way to become irrelevant, I would say another thing is that as tough as it is to. It's simple. Most people should get this when they get further along, but you don't always end the business with the same people you started with. The people you start with aren't the people you necessarily finish with or mature with. And so you have to be okay with that, and you have to be ready for it, with contingency plans and just like evolving, like, hey, what do we need now? And never getting too comfortable with anybody, including yourself. I mean, if you have set your business up where you only know how to do certain things, and there's no cross training at all, that's a recipe for disaster. Like whether you have a personal leave or you get sick or God forbid you get hit by a bus, right? You want your business to continue to thrive without you. And that has to go across the board so that when all of a sudden, your operations manager leaves, you could freak out and just like you could freak out and just be like, all right, close the business. It's over, right? They knew too much. They knew everything. We're hosed without them. And if everyone's like, well, what do you do to work on the business? What does that even mean? Things like that, like working on processes and working through contingency plans and what ifs and exit planning, stuff like that is incredibly important as you grow and you mature. And then those are the easiest things too to not do because they don't make you money. They're not income producing, It's like, well, back to, you said sales is everything. It's like, yes, but you have other people that can help you with that, right? And so you need to work on the business as well, making sure that it will do well with or without you.
Well, there's a few things that came to mind as you were sharing all those thoughts, and I have to just kind of jump in because You spoke very early on about having a job when you first started the business, getting away from that job mentality and moving into what we refer to as becoming an entrepreneur. But then what I loved what you shared just a moment ago is the fact that in working on your business, you're trying to get to the point with the processes and the teams, basically to have a business that, as you said, thrives without you. It's where what we describe as having a business that's a self-sustaining, living, breathing entity that can live autonomous from you. Because you're right, as a business owner, you can't, in the end, be the business. The business needs to be autonomous from you. So to your point, working on the business is obviously what your goal is, and more importantly, your job's changing. You're needing to be forward thinking. Everyone else in the organization may be dealing with the day-to-day operations, but it's your job to figure out, okay, what's going to be different next year? What's going to change in the coming year? So that's going to bring us to two things. One, I actually happen to be today at the Accounting and Finance Conference in California, and I think there's a lot of value in kind of looking at what's on the horizon. So there's a lot of talk here as to how the accounting profession is changing, how the role of a CPA is going to be different and so forth. So I just wanted to share, or ask rather, what are your thoughts as to the horizon, the near future of the accounting profession? What do you see that may be changing as you're watching things evolve?
Yeah, sure. I mean, first of all, like, let's not freak out. Accounting's not going anywhere, right? It's changing, but I think everyone's kind of there's two sides of the story. A lot of people are freaking out over technology and automation, and just kind of getting ready to do something else. There's a lot of people taking advantage of it. The smart people embracing technology. It's like, listen, the automation and the technology is coming, like it or love it. Like you're not gonna stop it. Okay, so yeah, you can be scared of it and probably go extinct in a couple of years. You can embrace it and thrive, and that's what's going to happen. If you don't, then you're probably going to be devalued to nothing, right? And if you embrace it, you're going to do really well. And it's because, well, we spent all of our time entering the stuff. We didn't have time to spend with our clients, as much time to spend with our clients interpreting the data, building that personal relationship, giving them business advice based on the numbers that we're looking at. It's like, automation's fantastic. Like, we're taking advantage of this so that we can now spend more time with our clients going over numbers and giving them business advice. Like, that is value added. Those are clients that never leave you because you're like, help them through really tough situations, or help them get an additional $500,000 on their acquisition, or whatever it is. Like, people are so afraid of, oh, it's going to replace me. It's going to replace me. It's like, no. It's just changing. Like, you have to adapt too. And the only way that's going to happen is if you embrace it and then realize that there's a lot more you can do for these people than just enter things into QuickBooks and run a P&L for them. I mean, anybody can do that.
Well, the point that I think I'd add to that is the accounting profession isn't going away. You said that. And it is changing. We no longer use abacuses. We're not writing down in journals and ledgers any longer. We're using software. But here at the conference, it's things that are on the horizon related to cryptocurrencies. It's talking about blockchain technology. It's talking about artificial intelligence and how it's actually being utilized by a lot of these software companies that we're using, whether it be QBO or Xero or FreshBook, whatever the software platform we're using to do the accounting. They're trying to help us get away from being transactional and doing the day-to-day transactions, and now moving more and more to our business having the ability with time to then do the value-based pricing of services that allow us to be more consultative. So love what you shared. Perfect. Yeah. Now, with regards to basically your business and the uniqueness of it and the fact that you're there in Montana, just some final thoughts. Obviously, you're in a situation where you've got something that really has impacted your life. How's your life special and unique right now? What's something that you just look at and you kind of step back and go, oh my heavens, it's cool to be me?
I fish a lot. I think I fished 5 days in a row. I'm going tonight, and so I'm going to my house on the river tonight for the rest of the weekend. What I like honestly the most is that I can do a lot of stuff. Like I just got back from Maine. I was in Maine for 3 weeks visiting my parents. And it's like, oh, how do you do this? How do you take all this time off? It's like, I don't. I just work consistently, you know? Like, yeah, I'll take a couple of days off here and there. But for the most part, you know, people get so, oh, I want to work from home or this and that. It's like, oh man, I don't really like working from home. I'm at home today. But people, I think, have this vision that's like, oh, I'm only going to have to work like 2 hours. I'm not going to have to get dressed and this and that. It's like, dude, you work your butt off from home. I don't think you know, like, I go from coffee to my desk within a matter of 3 minutes and, like, you're in it, you know, and you're cranking. And, like, I work an insane amount of hours. And I think the coolest thing is that I get, you know, I found that balance of like being able to go skiing on a Wednesday and not have to care, like the wheels are not going to come off the bus, you know, so that I actually like spend a lot of time scheduling like fun stuff in my life, which I don't think people do. So like I have a recurring meeting every Wednesday to go fishing the whole day. I just block it. That way no one can book a sales call. It keeps me sane. And that's what I like. I mean, and everyone's like, oh, couldn't you do better? Yeah, I'm sure I could make an additional couple $100,000 in sales a year if I really wanted to just sit down and work 68 hours a week. I don't want to. I didn't get a CPA because I did not want to work 60 to 100 hours January through April. I wanted to go skiing. So I built a business very much, and sure, it is somewhat of a lifestyle business. I'll give it that because I probably could do better, but my goal wasn't to, you know, make $1 bazillion. My goal was to be able to spend a lot of time with my family and be able to spend a lot of time outside doing the things that I love. And so that's what I built.
Well, one, you're living the dream. Congratulations. It's not to say it's easy, but it's definitely making it worth it. And at the same time, I want to bring in at this point that one of the things that brought you and I together is we were in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And just a parting thing, because we were each involved there, that's obviously you stepping away and working on your business. What advice do you have for someone to get the coaching and support just basically to work on their business? What kind of perspective did that bring to you? What kind of insights did that maybe bring to your business?
Yeah, I mean, I think like that taught you a lot about how to do it, right? Because it was like, hey, I don't know how yours was, but when we did, it was like every other Friday. And then you had these clinics. And the thing is, it was scheduled and you had an accountability partner, right? So you would come in like, hey, you got to be here at 8. We're going to work till 5. No cell phones. Cell phones are off. We're working on the business. That's a great theory, and that takes, you know, the reason people don't do it's really hard because it's hard to turn off your phone. It's hard to close your email and not pay attention or not answer the phone because maybe it's that huge sale. You know, you need a lot of. It just takes a lot of discipline. And so I schedule it. I'm like, yeah, here's my time. Like, here's my couple hours where I just close everything, no phone, no email, like work on strategy. Big picture, look at the exit plan. Like, how many people truly look at their exit plan and more like how many people do it? I do it once a quarter. I dedicate time. It doesn't take long. It takes 30 minutes to read it and be like, is this still accurate or not? Oh, okay, let's change it a little bit. Okay, now with those changes, how does that impact the strategy of the business? Oh, here's the things we need to do in Q4 to kind of align with that, you know, and that takes a lot of discipline. And to think that you have all the answers is absolutely insane. Like, you definitely need an outside mentor or accountability partner or consultant, whatever it is you have. I have a coach. It's like, how come it's okay for the best athletes in the world to all have a coach, an assistant coach, and then private coaches, but in your business it makes no sense? Like, what? How is that? Like, everybody needs an accountability partner. And even the best people at what they do in basketball, baseball, whatever, they often have private coaches in addition to a whole staff of coaches. Why is your business any different? I don't get it.
That is phenomenal. Well said. Well, I'm going to end on this by pointing out the fact that that is exactly what Universal Accounting Center does for accounting professionals, helping individuals actually implement in their business the very services that they want to in order to get paid what they're worth. And whether it be that you want to become a profit first professional, a value builder provider, a profit and growth expert, all of these basically require some time and energy and effort, and each of these programs come with qualified coaches to teach you, hold you accountable, and most importantly, help you implement these in your company. So, Matt, thank you for the insights. I appreciate the conversation. I value what it is you've already accomplished. I think it's something so many are striving for, and you're there. So congratulations, and most importantly, just keep going. I think what you've got is amazing, and I think people are going to be watching what you're doing, and for good reason. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And just remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. So everybody have a wonderful day. Is there any final thought that you'd like to share, Matt?
Just make sure you're having fun every day. Just make sure you're happy. And if you're not, you got to change something.
Very good. And you're the man to say it. So thank you. Everybody,
All right, thank you.
have a great day.
See ya.